I think one of the negative conceptions that non-religious people have about religious people is that accepting that leap of faith means that you are no longer thinking for yourself. And so it's interesting because you come across as such a thoughtful person and you describe this process of really needing to intellectually grapple with these deep questions and existential matters on your own, in your own way, to come to that place.
Yeah, I think I can understand where people are coming from, and that is I think a perception that people with a certain secular worldview can have, and it can come across if you're reading certain history books in a certain way, if that's just what you've heard. And certainly people who have been raised in a particular tradition might have been raised in, and just really uncritically accepted whatever it was that they were told. I think that happens a lot. What I don't know if people do this in other traditions, but in Catholicism, if you are a convert, sort of that carries a certain connotation with it that you have thought about these things and made that choice. And then people who have been more cradle Catholics, if they've done that, and they've also done sort of the intellectual work of figuring out if they believe what the church says for themselves, then they call themselves a revert. So that might be a good way to distinguish between, yeah, there actually are people who are really uncritically sort of receiving things and maybe not always the way that it really should be interpreted. They just kind of get it from the culture or whatever it is. And then people who have really sought out the truth and tried to find out, well, what is it about us that makes us human? And what were we made for? What's a family for? What is a man? What is a woman? And look to scripture to answer those questions and to look to the tradition of the church, because religion in general has been asking these questions for thousands of years. Whatever religion you want to look at, those are religious questions. And so, especially in this day and age when even people are even denying science or looking at the limitations of science, we can say Homo sapiens and we can look at what human DNA is, but that doesn't really tell us, well, what are we here for? That's a philosophical question, and religion has been dealing with that philosophical question since there have been people.